Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI portfolio. This is a series of demo recordings on utilizing Maximo and Cognos for enhanced analytics in your environment. This specific series is focused on the Cognos metadata. In the first portion of our series, we looked at utilizing and creating a report object structure in Maximo's integration object structure application. And once that report object structure was created, in the next series we went into more detail in looking at the Max relationships which join the various objects together. In this part 3 of the series, we're going to take that report object structure, publish it to Cognos, and then begin building a report in Cognos so you can see the value on how this integration framework in Maximo streamlines the administration and creation of the Cognos metadata. So to recap our process, what we've done over here in Maximo, again, is we've created a very simple report object structure, a parent asset with two child objects joined together via SQL or Max relationships. And now in this step, we're going to utilize the integration framework to bring this report object structure, transform and transpose it into the Cognos content store as a metadata package. And once that metadata package is available, your report developer or business user can utilize it with the preformed objects to begin developing reports. To drill down into this, I want to highlight one of the new features that we've added in 7.6, and that is a suite of new database views that are applied to the report object structure. I just want to highlight it at a top level in this demo series, and then we'll get into more detail in a future recording. But again, what we're going to do is we take a combination of the report object structures, and without any work required on your end, we append each object with its related organization, site, or company or item set filter, so the user only has access to data that they have been given access rights in Maximo. If you want to look at this in more detail, this is the process that we're going to go through. Again, we're going to start down here in the Maximo database where we've defined our object structure in our integration object structure app, parent asset, two child objects. We're going to click on the action, publish to Cognos, and then what happens is our integration framework takes over. We utilize a combination of the invocation channel and the endpoints. Endpoints you've defined in the install guide between Maximo and Cognos, where you define specific endpoint values like your database connection, your username, your password, where we're going to place this on the metadata, where we're going to place it on the Cognos end. And then we again transform this report object structure. Behind the scenes, apply the database new site, set, and organization views. So we complete or create a Cognos metadata package that's created in the Cognos content store. Well, let's take a look at how this all happens. Let's use the new My Recent Applications action from Maximo76. Go right to the object structure application, bring up our query for report object structures, and then we're going to grab our asset demo report object structure that we had. In this case, I'm going to now take it and I'm going to click Publish to Cognos Package. You may notice that there's that measurement point object left over from our second series, and that's fine. We can leave that there at this point. And then depending on how complex your report object structure is, depends on how long it will take to create and transpose a report object structure to Cognos. If it's a fairly simple one, it can just take a matter of seconds or minutes. If it's very complex, like the work order one, I believe has 17 different objects contained within it, it will take much longer. So I've published it, I got the message up top. Well, now I want to access it. So I'm going to directly access it by clicking on the Cognos reporting action. and that's a SIG security option that you have available. In my endpoint value, I have my folder set up to where I want to publish this to Cognos in this Maximo publish folder. So I open that up, and then again, what did I publish over here? Asset demo. Well, here's my asset demo package in Cognos. Well, as I click on that, I'm not seeing anything, so I need to launch one of my tools. Let's grab Cognos Workspace Advanced. And now let's start creating a report in Cognos, again, based on that transposed report object structure that I have. I'm going to select Create New, and I'll just create a simple list report. Let's have that go ahead and open up. Here's my asset demo, and now let's see what it looks like. Asset, work order, companies, and measurement point. Let's go back over here to Maximo. Asset, work orders, companies, measurement point. It's fantastic. So as I open it up, now I'm going to see each one of the individual attributes that is available to me from asset and work order and companies. And how do I start building my report? I can just come over here, start dragging and dropping my individual fields, asset number, description, failure code, etc. Whatever I need to bring in my individual fields to build up that report. So again, what this is greatly going to do is streamline the time that it takes for you to create that metadata. You don't necessarily have to get into the Cognos FM tool to create each one of these joins manually, but also every developer is going to be creating their reports based on the same thing. You don't have to worry about one developer joining SQL relationships between different objects different ways. Everybody's creating off the same base. That's a very, very important point, because the person that is creating this report object structure has to be very familiar with the Maximo database, because if he comes in here and he selects the wrong relationship between the two objects, then the people who are developing the reports in Cognos may be developing them on incorrect relationships. So again, to highlight that best practice is that the person creating the report object structures must be very, very familiar with the database and ensuring that they're selecting the right relationships. The other thing that I want to highlight here before I leave is let's go back to the integration and let's bring up those endpoint values that we have. As I mentioned, when you install Maximo in Cognos, there's a number of installation steps, and one of those is setting up the endpoint values. These endpoint values are extremely important to enable the publishing of that report object structure to Cognos. And let's look at that folder that I mentioned. Over here, this is the content store package location. This determines where we place this report object structure or package in Cognos. So here it's under the Maximo publish folder. So when I come back over here to Cognos, let me go back, to my public folders. Here's the Maximo publish folder. So every report object structure that I push out to Cognos will be located here. And then you can set up your security privileges. So maybe a subset of business users or developers have access to this folder. It's a really important point. And then the other thing that I wanted to highlight is one of the reasons that we see some people having problems with publishing from Maximo to Cognos is that they often don't copy over the SDK files. SDK files from Cognos are required so we can complete the transformation process. So if you are having any problems when you publish from Maximo to Cognos, double check to make sure that those SDK files are in place. And how do you get to that Cognos install guide? Again, always use Google if you have any problems. Cognos guide, do a search here. Let's look for right here, the install guide, and you can download this and find those specific instructions. So let's recap what we did today. We came over into Maximo. Let me go back to our object structure application, and I'm going to do a quick search on our demo object structure. We took this object structure that we had created in our series 1, and then we published it to Cognos via the publish Cognos action. We then accessed Cognos reporting. We saw where our published report object structure was located via this endpoint value that we had defined, Maximo publish. And then we took our asset demo and we began creating and viewing all the published objects and attributes in the Cognos Workspace Advanced tool to show you how this process streamlines the creation of, again, that Cognos metadata package. So thank you very much for your time.